Hey guys, welcome back. Bomb here, bringing you another one of our live deck profiles. Today we are doing Malamar Tag Team, Malamar Spread. It's just this deck I've been working on for a long time. It's one of my, Malamar is one of my favorite decks to play. It's because it's the only deck that I have that's max rarity. I'm not gonna lie, but I love playing this deck anyways. It's a lot of fun. So don't forget, So yeah, I guess we can just get into it. Before we get into the video, don't forget to answer the comment question of the day for a couple tag team codes I'll be giving away soon. Being, what's your favorite deck to play? And if it's like not, English is hard. And if you want to, you can tell me a deck that's upcoming that is probably going to be your favorite to play. Excuse me there. I had to mute for a second, but yeah, don't forget to drop a like on the video if you haven't already. Check out our sponsors at Guardian Gaming because they are going to be the ones hosting us for a booster box giveaway. We've talked about it in the previous video, but don't forget, any comments you leave in any of my videos, one comment per video, of course, is an entry for the tag team booster box giveaway. We'll just mail it to whoever. But yeah, and before I get people that bother me, yes, this deck is max rarity. No, I did not purchase the majority of these cards by myself. I know that if you guys remember, back whenever Sun and Moon first came out, it was trade in your bulk for booster boxes. And I did that for like the first 3 sets, which is where I got the majority of my secret rares. And I was like, well, I already have most of these. I'll buy like a handful of them and just max out the deck. And from there, I just kind of got addicted to max raritying things. But I have some awesome subscribers that always send me stuff. I should probably move over here so it's more center in the screen, which is where I get the majority of my max rarity stuff. So of course, you guys are always awesome. I appreciate all of you. But yeah, let's get right into the video. Now we're going to start this video off for Inkay. Now I do want to address some concerns. People are always asking me, why don't you play like a Ditto Prism as well? And let me know if you guys like this better or if you guys like the one we did yesterday better. Because now I'm sitting down, I'm trying to make myself more comfortable because I actually got to, show off the deck easier. So I'm not going to be doing every card on the same screen at once. It makes it easier for me to talk about things, but let me know what you guys like better. Now we are playing a 4-4 line of Inkay Malamar. I have a lot of people always asking me, why don't you play one Ditto Prism? And the reality is that like you don't really have the bench, you don't have the deck, you don't know what do you remove for a Ditto is what I'm trying to say. In every game, you're only going to want to have 3 Malamars down, right? You're never going to want to have 4 Malamars down. You don't have the bench space for 4 Malamars. So if you're playing a Ditto, it's like you're playing 2 extra Inkay, and you don't really need 2 extra Inkay. You just need 1 extra, right? That's the whole mindset there. So it's not really worth creating a deck space for that extra man. So that's why I don't play. That's why I don't play a Ditto Prism. A lot of people ask me, it's hard to make deck space for it. And even if you do make deck space for it, is it ultimately worth it? That kind of thing. Especially since it's easier to knock out. Plus it doesn't have a cool attack like Inkay does. So that's going to be the 4-4 line of Malamar. Of course, you need it to power up your Pokemon. And this deck is a combination of spread and tag team attackers. So we did remove the Shrine of Punishment in this deck, but we do add some hefty, strong GX Pokemon. One of them being our Snorlax Eevee GX. Now 270 HP is nothing to scoff at, and its attacks are really good because this is the Pokemon we've been looking for. It's a hefty Pokemon that can deal with Zoroark. Its first attack lets you attach an energy from your hand to it, which is really good because it can be DCs. But its second attack is what matters. 120 damage, and if your Pokemon's an evolution Pokemon, you can hit for 120 more damage. That knocks out pretty much every issue that this deck had in the past. Now we might have new issues with these tag teams, but beforehand our issues were Zoroark, our issues were sometimes even Guardy. But this can knock out both of them. 240 damage is a lot of damage. So obviously if we play Choice Band, we can hit 270, which means that we can knock out, I don't know, like Metagross. I was trying to think of Pokemon that's relevant, but the only one I can think of right now is Metagross. But like, we have spread in this deck, we don't really need to do that. But its GX attack is kind of what pushes this deck over the edge. We didn't get to really show it off against the Venusaur deck because it was not very appropriate, but for most of the matches it's very appropriate. You hit 210 damage, but if you have 1 extra energy attached to yourself, you may draw until you have 10 cards in your hand. So a lot of people are saying this, and I'm going to go ahead and repeat it. Malamar's been looking for a really good GX attack. Dawnwings is okay, but it's really situational. Necrozma is really good if you want to win with spread, but that's about it. And it's also like, it's easy for your opponent to revenge you. This can take a knockout mid-game while also refreshing your hand, saying, hey, I have a lot of cards in my hand. You got to do something about this, or I can probably just Guzma win the game next turn. So Venusaur is something. I mean, not Venusaur. Snorlax Eevee is a card that we've been all looking for. A lot of these decks are playing 2. I don't think you need 2. I think you have so many attackers in this deck that 1 is fine. But maybe I'll like wise up and put in a second one later. For the time being, I've been okay with just 1, especially since like this deck also plays Onyx that can help you deal with both Zoroark and with dark stuff and with lightning stuff. So that's why I'm only playing one. The other tag team that we're playing that I really like is Gengar Mimikyu. I was sleeping on this card pretty hard at first, but Gengar Mimikyu, we showed it off a lot in the video. But just in case, 240 HP, so it's kind of low and it's weak to dark, so you never played against dark stuff. But its attacks are a lot better than I thought it was. Now, its first attack is 50 damage for each trainer card in your opponent's hand. Now, a lot of the time your opponent's going to have a lot of trainers in their hand. It's very rarely going to be Pokemon energies. So 50 damage means if there's only 3, you're hitting for 150. If there's 4, 200. If there's 5, 250. And that's what pairs really well with our GX attack. For 1 energy, your opponent can't play anything from their hand, which is really good. It's like Chimecho on steroids. It's really, really strong. But more importantly, if you have an extra energy attached to this thing, which is relatively easy to do, both players draw until they have 7 in your hand. So if you're having a really rough start and you have this card, it's really easy to just set this thing up to let you draw. But because your opponent can't play anything in their hand, by the time it's your turn again, they have an 8-card hand, and I can pretty much guarantee half of those cards are going to be trainers. So being able to hit them for at least 200 damage the following turn is really strong. Most of the time you're going to be hitting them for more, especially considering how most of these decks are focused on trainers. There's very little decks that are energy focused, like that play like a million energies. The only ones that are kind of scary are Blacephalon, and if Gyarados becomes a thing, Gyarados as well. But yeah, this is a very strong attacker and a very cheap attacker too, so it's really good in a lot of specific matchups. Now, everything else in this deck is like, well, I guess we'll probably go over. The other attacker, of course, is our boy Necrozma. This covers all of our GX attackers. No, I am not playing Tapu Lele in this deck because like I don't want to lead Tapu Lele. It's really that simple. I found that this deck is really consistent even without the need to find Tapu Lele, which is why I'm not playing Tapu Lele anymore. Now, Tapu Lele is not bad because its attacks are actually pretty good in a Malamar deck, as well as being able to search things out. But it's another GX that's really easy to knock out, and I don't really want to give my opponent that. And as well as like, it's a horrible lead, especially if you play it as a 1-up, so that's why I'm not playing it anymore. So anyways, Necrozma, heavy hitter, decent GX attack, immune to normal type Pokemon. We all know what Necrozma does, right? 60 for each energy. You discard all your psychic energies and you do 60 for each one. So it can hit for a lot of damage late game. So once these dudes are like exhausted, they can't attack anymore or something like that, depending on which one you use in the game, you just come and finish things off with Necrozma. Now, as far as everything else goes, there's just a bunch of one-prize attackers. We're not playing Jirachi in this build. Now, this build is something I'm considering playing Jirachi in, but for the time being, we're actually going with the Tapu Koko build. If I don't like the Tapu Koko, if I don't like the flying flipping, eventually I'll replace these with Jirachis and switches and skateboards, which is kind of rough because it's a lot more deck space you're dedicating to it as opposed to just 2 Tapu Kokos and 1 Shining Arceus. But Tapu Koko and Shining Arceus are really good for just spread damage. It's really good against the mirror, and Arceus is really good just for preventing you being spread against, because there's a lot of Koko spread decks out there. There's a lot of different kinds of spread decks out there, and being able to hit for ultimate arrow damage is really, really strong. And then Flying Flip gives you a nice pivot Pokemon, so that's pretty handy. Other Pokemon are one of Giratina, just your single non-GX attacker. I was also playing a what's it called? Shining Lugia in this deck because it does kind of the same thing. Like, this thing is cool because you have Distortion Door, which means that you can, I guess I can put this on the screen, right? You can take this card from the discard pile onto your board, and as long as nobody puts in the lost zone for you, you should always have this attacker throughout the game, which is good. And Shadow Impact does 130, and you just put damage on your own Pokemon, which is good because either you can put it on yourself so that you can get knocked out easier to use Distortion Door again, or you can put it on Pokemon that your opponent's most likely not going to Guzma around. So it's actually a really relevant attacker. The problem is that versus spread, it's not super good, so you don't usually want to use this. So I was using Lugia before, but I had to make cuts, and Lugia was one of the things to go. Besides, we have these attackers now, which should be pretty good. I'm also playing a 1-of Onyx, just another fighting type attacker to deal with Zoroarks, to deal with Pika Ramen specifically, because you hit 240, and hitting 240 with weakness is really, really nice. And for only 4 energies, it's not bad. So just since we do play DCs in this deck, and I am playing a 1-of Marshadow. Just to round things out, Marshadow is really good early game. If you don't have a draw supporter yet, it's kind of like Guzming it's kind of like using Treasure to find a Lele, but instead you're disrupting your opponent instead. And because you play a good amount of draw stuff and search stuff, you should be okay to find a draw supporter if you did not find one early game, and you can just use Marshadow, right? That's the whole mindset. Because if you think about it like this, you're gonna usually play down your hand game 1, right? Like, I'm talking like turn 1 scenarios almost every game, right? Turn 1, you're usually gonna play down your hand, thinning your deck by like 5 to even 10 cards, because you have cards like Acrobike and Treasure and Ultra Ball and stuff like that. You're thinning your deck by a lot by the time you use this Marshadow. So that means that there is 10 less cards that are not draw supporters in your in your deck, which means when you play Marshadow and draw 4, you have a higher chance of finding a draw supporter than you did in your opening hand. So that's the reason why I play Marshadow. Also, it disrupts your opponent, and disruption is really, really, really strong right now. Having access to Marshadow is really good. And the cool thing about that is because we play the Marshadow, disrupting us is a lot harder to do because we have our Ultra Balls, our Treasures, our Nest Balls, as well as I guess I should remove this off screen completely because it will get annoying, as well as our Marshadow. So let's go ahead and go over the items next though. Let's see, where's all the items? Quite a few items in here, and quite a few things I might want to change in the future. But for the time being, let's start with, of course, here's where everybody gets mad at me because I have max rarity. 4 Ultra Ball, just consistency stuff. Do keep in mind, guys, I need you to know I pulled 3 of these Ultra Balls. Like I got 3 booster boxes from my bulk and pulled an Ultra Ball in each one. It was amazing. I wish I was recording videos back then, man. 4 Mysterious Treasures, which is once again amazing in this deck. Like there's not really much to say about it. And then 4 Acro Bikes, just max consistency here. We want to make sure that we can dig through our deck as much as possible and get us, because the whole thing of this deck is that, do you have your setup? Do you have your Pokemon? Do you have your energies? All right, you kind of win now. And we have 3 Nest Balls to cover that. Nest Balls gets you your non-psychic attackers, as well as just gets you your Inkays, right? So having Nest Balls is really, really useful. And of course, it's a Malamar deck. I don't like playing Malamar decks without at least 2 Rescue Stretchers because they will knock out your Malamars, and this gives you the ability to shuffle them back into your deck. So these are all self-explanatory. Acrobike just helps you dig a little bit further. So I like Acrobike in this deck. I'm a fan. Now let's talk about the supporters and the stadiums. There we go. Now, this one is something that might change in the future, but we're playing for Cynthia. Now, you guys know Cynthia, you know, Lucario, Togekiss, both on Cynthia's team. Gen 4, Cynthia, champion. I love Cynthia. She's bae. She's as bae as it gets. But but I know a lot of decks in Japan specifically are actually moving to 3 Cynthia and like 2 or 3 Erica. I just like Cynthia so far. Cynthia's more guaranteed, so I'm playing 4 right now, but I can maybe drop this for maybe 3 Cynthia and 1 extra Erica. We're also playing 4 Lily. This is a card that can't change. I feel like Lily is just too important to change. Being able to get it early game is really nice. Why is my AC going off now? Whatever. So I don't really want to change the Lily at all. Because you need the Lily. Lily gives you the most plus, the most consistently, and will also is really, really, really good early game as well. So we're playing 4 Lily and 1 Erica. Now Erica, we've talked about it before, but if you have less than 6 cards in your hand, if you have less than 5, if you have 5 or less cards in your hand, you can use it, right? Okay, this is so hard to explain, right? After you play this card, you can only play this card if you have 6 or less cards in your hand, right? Because you have to make sure you have 5 by the time you use it. So you can only play this card if you have 6 or less cards in your hand. If you do, you may draw equal to the amount of bench Pokemon your opponent plays. There's a lot of matchups where it's going to be good, a lot of matchups where it's going to be bad. So I'm playing just 1 for now. But I can see that easily going up in the future. For Guzma, because we are playing a tag team version of these decks now, so I want to be able to always Guzma up Pokemon. Plus, a lot of the time I'm going to be treasuring away Guzma, Ultra Balling away Guzma. So having access to 4 in the deck makes the deck a lot more consistent. And as far as the stadium goes, 2 Viridian Forest, I mean, Viridian Forest is really strong in this deck. Sorry, English is hard. But I want to play 3, and I'm trying to figure out what I can cut for a 3rd one. But Viridian Forest is extremely good. Lets you look at the top, lets you discard a card from your hand, which is already good in this deck because of Lily, because of Erica, because of Energies, because of Giratina, because of Thinning. So just discarding a card is good in general, but it lets you get a Psychic Energy from your deck to your hand, which you can in turn attach or maybe hold on to and discard it with a different card, or even hold on to so that you can discard it with a Viridian Forest the next turn. It's a really good way to add consistency to your deck as far as energies go, and I kind of like this more than playing 9 energies. So 9, 10, 11 basic psychic energies. This is a little bit better for you because it's a card that you can easily slap down. Plus, it's important for every deck to have a stadium right now. With Wonder Lab, I think the fairy one, with Black Market Prism, with all these Thunder Mountain Prism, with all these really powerful prisms right now, you need to be playing stadiums, which is why I want to bump mine up to 3. But I can't figure out what to cut. I'm currently playing, I guess we can talk about the energies now, but I'm currently playing 7 psychics. So I don't want to go below 7 because if you go below 7, then you have those Venusaur issues. I was already having those Venusaur issues. So I don't want to go below this number, but 7 Psychics and 4 DCEs. So it goes for 11 energies. 11 energies is just a good number if you want to try to find them to attach every turn. So having 11 is good, but I don't want to go below 11. If I go below 11, I know I'm going to start having issues. So I have to figure out what I can cut. And that'll come through testing, maybe cut an acro bike, maybe cut, I don't know, some other stuff. But then I want to add more treasures or more draw supporters and stuff like that. Maybe cut a Coco, but then like free retreating has become a lot harder. So I don't know, we'll see as the game goes on. We'll continue to edit this deck, and whenever the sets do come out and we start doing actual matchups instead of like these testing ground matchups that we're doing right now, that's whenever we'll have more finished versions of our decks. But decks are always ever growing, right? I'm never technically finished with a deck. But anyways, that's going to be the deck profile, guys. Let me know what you guys think about this. This is my favorite deck, so I love playing Malamar. This one and Blacephalon right now are my favorites. Luckily, after playtesting all these decks for team up, like all the ones that are actually going to be viable, and we have another match coming up here, hopefully soon as long as like the recordings go pretty smoothly. We should be. I kind of have an idea of what I like in this set, in this set versus what I don't like, and I'm not like terribly interested in playing any of these new decks, although some of them are really strong. Like Electric is really strong now, so that's something to keep in mind. But that's pretty good for me because that means I don't have to go out and buy me a new deck. I can just continue playing what I play right now and just go from there. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Don't forget to drop a like, subscribe, share all that good jazz, enter the giveaway for a chance to win some booster boxes. Oh, and I have a question for you guys. This is important. This is super duper important. Which one do you guys like more? And not Pokemon wise, but artwork wise. We have the regular arts, which I don't care about, right? But the full arts, the full art Eevee Snorlax I like a lot, but the alternate artwork, which is like a secret in Japan, but like is the equivalent of a full art for the American sets. Those are really nice too. I like that a lot for Gengar Mimikyu. But then I'm gonna have 2 non-matching. As you guys can see, I like matching in this deck. I like to make sure everything looks the same, so it helps my OCD a bunch. But I can't decide if I go the full art route or the alternate artwork. And the reason why I'm so conflicted on it, because I would probably just do the alternate artwork, is because the alternate artwork for this one, even though it's like, I forget his name, but he's like an old school artist, I don't really like the way it looks. it looks like Snorlax is eating Eevee, and it's just like, but the alternate artwork for Gengar Mimikyu kind of looks dope. At least it looks better than the full art, right? So I don't know. But I really like full arts in general because like I'm already playing one full art Necrozma, so I think it would look weird if I had a full art Necrozma but not full arts of these, and it's just so conflicting. But at the same time, it's just one full art, right? So like it would make every card look unique as opposed to just like having 3 cards that match. So I'm in the air about it. Also, if they're not textured, I also don't want them, but I'm pretty sure they're textured. And if I do want the alternate artwork for this one comes out in May or March, like March 29th or something. So I'm so conflicted. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.